we're going to talk about the pathophysiology of diabetes. Because in order to understand how the medications help diabetes, you have to understand the pathophysiology of diabetes. So the first thing we have to understand is that our pancreas has two types of cells. You have alpha cells and you have beta cells. And when you eat, this causes an increase in blood glucose, which then is going to tell our pancreas that their beta cells need to release insulin. What this insulin does, insulin is going to open up the receptors which is then going to allow for glucose to go inside the cell. Okay. Now these receptors are located on the liver, adipose, and skeletal muscles. Okay, so we'll have a liver here. And here's the receptors. Okay, so it allows insulin to go inside the cell. The liver, this is your liver here, it takes in the glucose and it stores glucose as glycogen. Okay, so that's what happens when you eat. The pancreas detects the high blood glucose. It releases insulin. Insulin then opens up receptors so glucose can go inside the cell. In the liver, the glucose is stored as glycogen. Now when we are starving, I'll put this over here. There is a decrease in blood glucose. So that also is detected by the pancreas. It tells the alpha cells that they need to make glucagon. Okay, so they spit out glucagon. This glucagon then goes to the liver, and it tells the liver to convert this glycogen back into glucose. And it does this in the form of glycogenolysis. So then that's going to increase our blood glucose. So depending on what the blood glucose is, the pancreas is either going to produce insulin or it's going to produce glucose. So the pancreas controls both, okay? So when things start to go wrong, so we're going to talk about type 1 first. Type 1 is a problem with the pancreas, okay? So here's our type 1. Okay. With type 1, our beta cells are destroyed completely. Okay, they're destroyed. So no insulin is produced. Okay, so if no insulin is produced, that means that glucose cannot get inside the cell. So if glucose can't get inside the cell, the end result is hyperglycemia, right? Because all that glucose ends up staying inside the blood. Now there's another problem in this type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes this is when the receptors are just not responding to insulin. Okay, so if the receptors don't respond to insulin, that means that glucose cannot get inside the cell. And if glucose can't get inside the cell, then that also results in hyperglycemia. So this just gives you a little bit of an overview of what diabetes is so that you can better understand how we treat it.